Hey everybody. The all right, I have to admit that first of all, I was completely shocked that the Cleveland Browns rolled over the Pittsburgh Steelers the way that they did. In fact, I was so certain that the Browns were going to lose to the Steelers that I basically took the first half off and watched 60 Minutes interview with Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi because I wanted to hear what she had to say about the insurrection attempt. Then my mother and I'm visiting my mom here, turned to Channel 11, and to our mutual shock, the score was already 21-0. And it wasn't, I mean, you obviously think, well, geez, what happened, right? And it was just a crazy series of events. Turnovers by the Steelers. Nothing extraordinary by the Browns in terms of play. It was the Steelers making mistakes on their own. And as the game went on, if it wasn't that, I'll just say it. I'm going to say it straight out. But the Steelers acted like, hey, John Marks, they had money to not win the game. You heard what I said. I say that because there were certain players that didn't go out. There was a cornerback blitz, safety blitz actually, and a defensive back. And rather than the defensive back go right in and take on the lineman or go around the lineman, you know what that person did? They kind of stopped and then they slipped. Like, it looked like a fake slip. Yeah, John Marks, you called it. It looked like a fake slip to me, though. And then on another instance, a linebacker that was brought in from the practice squad because the player got injured, right? He took on a lineman obviously bigger than he, high. In other words, up. Rather than staying low, keep your body low, lower than the person, right? Leverage. So, not surprisingly, he got knocked off his keister. So I'm looking at the injury report, and I can't tell from the injury report, blank from blank, okay? So I'm now looking at Steelers out due to COVID because they stunk, all right? They stunk. And the Browns got back 3 players that were off the COVID list to face them. So the Browns got stronger, all right? And then 5 days ago, another COVID situation hung over the Steelers, all right? But Mike Tomlin takes it all in stride, according to the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, right? In fact, Jerry Dulac, who wrote this, said, Mike Tomlin says he wakes up every day at 6 a.m. and checks his phone to see if any of his players or coaches have tested positive for COVID-19. He has been doing that since the Steelers started training camp more than 5 months ago. If Cleveland Browns coach Kevin Stefanski does that, he didn't like the news he received on Tuesday. It was not good for more of his players and assistant coaches or for him. Stefanski was one of 5 members that sent them the postseason where they were going to run around and just, hey, play the Steelers all over again, right? And it was, in addition to the coach, it was Joel Botono, the Pro Bowl guard, receiver Carl Hodge, and 2 assistant coaches who were not available. So think about that, all right? There were Stefanski, the head coach, guard Botono, receiver, 2 assistant coaches. So basically, they had 2 players that were impacted by COVID. That was it. And that was it. And so Tomlin said, we don't need a daily reminder because we have daily continual reminders of how fragile these circumstances are. every morning at 6 a.m., I'm looking at my phone waiting for verification of the previous day's test results. Are we in the clear or not? And what adjustments need to be made? What investigations need to be made? They said that's been their life, and that's for the NFL family. And Brian McCarthy said there was no change in status to the game. The Browns had to shut down their practice facility Tuesday for the 5th time in 10 days. So you could say, hey, look, all right, look, the Steelers might have been impacted, but the Browns were impacted worse, and look what came out of it. But to me, I saw what I saw. I saw a Steeler team that had players that looked like they simply weren't trying. Okay? I am not used to a Pittsburgh Steelers team looking like that. It's almost like they said, hey, you know what? The Browns, let them have their day. That's how it looked. All right? That's how it looked. And what can you do? You know, there's this backstory you don't know. I'm reacting off what I saw on the field. What I saw on the field were people who missed tackles, players that looked like they were new. There's a lot of reporting that goes on that apparently we're not quite privy to. Nicks and dings and injuries we don't know about. And for those who weren't completely tested positive for COVID-19, maybe they had some illness. Maybe they, my whole point is, okay, both teams had problems. But hey, the Browns had their coaches, Stefanski and everything else. I'm just not, it just feels like an asterisk game to me. It really does. It's one of more of those games that has these lopsided scores that in a normal regular season we didn't get. Okay? Same for college. College football was replete with teams that had lopsided scores. And some of those lopsided scores cost some coaches like Kevin Sumlin his job. In the case of Arizona. He was beat 70 to 7 by Arizona State or something like that. And so the coronavirus has impacted this in such a way that I'm just not ready, after seeing that game, to crown this without an asterisk. I'm just not. Because I've seen instance after instance after instance of sloppy play, players that don't execute their techniques properly. A lot of bad football. The Steelers put football out there so bad that I know Mike Tomlin feels that way, but the way that I'm talking about, but he cannot articulate it. They would probably fine him. So I'm not, I mean, you probably would say, well, Zinni, would you have said the same thing with Steelers won? Yeah, I would have. So you could crown the Lakers a championship. Fans bubble. Yes. This whole thing's an asterisk. So the Bears game was funny to watch the clips of them fighting and swearing on live TV. Feel bad for the Nickelodeon team. Yeah. And so I will tell you this. Anybody that makes a prediction on how well they think a team is going to do this year, NFL season, based on NFL 2020, is completely stupid. All right? It's just completely stupid, okay? Because you can't make proper evaluations if somebody isn't properly ready, or if they didn't have a week that, I mean, I disagree. Whereas SP says winning is winning, I don't think that's the case. I mean, I know it counts that way, but look, there are a lot of items going on here. Sponsorships that aren't paid. People not getting the money that they normally get. All right? And the idea is the players don't care, they want to win. No, look, wanting to win and being physically able to engineer a win are, man, they are so far apart. Okay? It's not funny. It's one thing to go through a whole training camp, a preseason, have a regimen down, have your game plan in front of you for an organization, have your nutrition and meals planned out and everything else. But then when you have people that are helping you with COVID, people dying from it, people who are part of your infrastructure not quite there, it throws you off. All right? I remind everybody the reason why we had an NFL season was to continue, because look, if there was no NFL season, a lot of people would be without money. And not only that, we needed it for our psyche. We just did. So let's not lose sight of that. But I am not going to sit here and say that game was a common football game. It wasn't. I mean, anytime I see a guy go in and it's like he's mailing it in to rush the passer, okay? Or players playing like they were afraid to hit somebody or get hit. Or Roethlisberger throwing down the middle even though, he was not having success there and his coaches were calling the plays. That's not his fault. That's the fault of the coaches. If they really wanted this, you think they'd be smart enough to roll him out one way or the other, right? Something different. Now, I had no money on the game. No. I'm just flabbergasted over the lousy play I witnessed. I am. It was bad. And I'm tired of these lopsided games. These games are too fucking lopsided. And these swings are too lopsided. You don't get that unless you have a roster that's, here and there, players healthy, players not. And you don't know really who's healthy and who's not. You just have to watch them. But the level of bad football I saw on the part of the Steelers, starting with their quarterback and their coach, no. Ravens, different story today. The Ravens were healthy enough to play, and they were physical. And the reason why the Ravens have done so well and rang up such crazy numbers against other teams is because they play a physical brand of football. They run at you, okay? They say the most efficient, like Lord Bryce says the Rams game was amazing. Yeah, but they say the most efficient, how'd they put it? Oh, by the way, Donald Trump is going to give Bill Belichick the Medal of Freedom. Donald Trump is going to give Bill Belichick the Medal of Freedom. Give Bill Belichick the Medal of Freedom. Under the circumstances, does he take it? Let me ask you, under the circumstances, should Bill Belichick take the Medal of Freedom from a guy who's going to be impeached or out of office? What would that say? All right? The rest says, hey, Bill could sell that medal and buy a new shirt. Which brings up another question. Is the Medal of Freedom worth as much? That's wild. Okay? Bill Belichick, they say, is going to get the Medal of Freedom from Donald Trump. He's agreed to accept it under the circumstances. In Massachusetts. a Democratic state. That just sounds weird to me, man. You know, I would just tell Bill. I said, you know what, Bill, just tell him just tell him you're sick. Just tell him, hey, you know what, I had a lousy season and I don't deserve the Medal of Freedom under these circumstances, but thanks. Now, how Trump would feel, I don't know. Okay? It just, I mean, the reason he's doing it has something to do with Bob Kraft and Bob Kraft's friendship with Donald Trump. But I just think there's something about political timing here that just strikes me as a little weird. I'm going to comment about that later. All right, I just wanted to make a few comments about this game. Congratulations to the Browns. It's not that I'm a believer or not. The Browns are a good team. It's just that the game was weird. All right, I'll see you.